women and women-led businesses implement AI solutions into their businesses in a way that feels approachable, not overly techy, and in a way that feels right for their business. So today, what we're going to be talking about is visibility in 2026 and how that's changed from maybe what you've experienced in previous years. If you've been in your space for a while and you feel like your views are dropping, your click-through rates are getting lower, you're not getting the leads you used to, you're not crazy, and it's not anything you're doing wrong. It's just that the kind of digital nature of search has really changed, and as humans, we're adapting to that. So there's just some things we have to do differently starting now. And really this kind of the transition happened last year, but it's becoming more and more prominent now and will continue to be as we move further into 2026 and beyond. So what we're going to talk about today is essentially how to be visible everywhere that your audience is looking for you. It used to be, that, ranking on Google was the most important thing, or that, maybe being found on socials was kind of key. Those are obviously still important. SEO is not dead. Google is still very important. However, there's other layers we need to add in to ensure that we are getting kind of the maximum exposure online that you can possibly get. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to walk you through a simple system that kind of leverages all of the places that someone might find you. And it's built on 3 C's, which are crawlability, clarity, and credibility. And that system is meant to work across everything. Socials, being found on ChatGPT, socials, Google, all of those things. So that's kind of what we're doing today as we go through. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of talk you through some of the big changes, the key points first, and then I'm going to show you a live landing page build where I'm going to walk you through exactly how I build a page to get the most impact online today. All right, so first things first, let's talk about, again, what's changed. The new search reality is that people are asking questions in more of a native question and answer format than they used to. It's not just about short keywords like plumber near me or things like that. It's where can I find a plumber near me with an appointment today, for instance. And then they expect to also be able to follow up questions. So maybe the question to start was, where can I find a plumber near me? And the second question is, that has availability today, or that takes my home warranty insurance, whatever that might be. So those questions are really replacing keywords or like fragmented search terms, the way that we used to just search on Google. Follow-up questions are now, again, the default. We want like a conversational pattern. And a big place that that's coming from are our voice AI assistants, right? Like you're not just asking Siri or Alexa plumber. You're saying, hey, help me find this, or, where can I find those kind of questions? So that's what's really important in kind of the shift in how search is working. And what's really important is that the best answer now is winning across all platforms. So it used to be, that keywords were kind of driving those search results, but now it's about an answer. People don't just want to go to Google and click down 10 links to find what they need. They want an answer. So you're talking about those answer snippets up top. You're talking about answers via LLMs, which are, like ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, things like that, Grok, Claude. So we're in a question and answer format. And that is what is working everywhere online. So we're going to show you kind of today how to lean into that and structure your content in a way that naturally feeds into the way that those engines are picking up your content. Again, visibility is everywhere, right? It's no longer just Google or Bing, or maybe you're using DuckDuckGo, but it is also those AI answer tools. It is also voice assistants. You want Siri and Alexa to be able to recommend you. And social search, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, those are kind of the ones that are being picked up the most in like search. So those you want to be able to structure your content in a way that can be found there too, and not just, hey, go follow my page. You want to be able to your content to be surfaced when somebody's looking for a answer to a question that you might have the answer to. So the shared selection pattern. So what this means is that basically all of those kind of engines that we've talked about, whether it's search, whether it's social, whether it's an LLM, they all reward the same fundamentals, essentially. So when you understand that pattern, you can apply it across everything. You don't necessarily have to have a really unique strategy for Google or for social. Once you kind of get that core down, you can apply it and be found across all of those platforms. So the first thing is accessible and understandable. What we're entering into now is an era where your content needs to be understood and readable by humans, but also by AI. It needs to be able to be scanned and interpreted by a machine as well. And a lot of that comes from structured schema. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But it's important that you structure it, for human consumption, but also so that the machines can index it as well. Quick answer extraction. We no longer want like long form blog posts where you have to read a lot of information to get to the answer that you want. That's not where we're at kind of as a society right now. We want quick answers that can be extracted quickly from content. So if they have to read a full blog post to understand the answer to their question, you're likely to lose them. Credible and reference worthy. Is it credible enough to be referenced across these platforms? In particular, the LLMs, again, we're talking about ChatGPT, Grok, Claude, Perplexity. They want to be sure that the sources that they're surfacing to the user are credible and have the right answer behind it. So that credibility is extremely important when we're talking about those LLM answers in particular. All right, so your visibility system. We talked about this a little bit ago. SEO is not dead. It has just changed. And more importantly, SEO fundamentals are still extremely valuable, very important, but they've got two new friends now, right? AEO and GEO. And I'll kind of explain what all of those mean. But SEO, that's your search engine optimization. That's what makes your content discoverable. That's what is kind of the tech backside of your website. You need to make sure that your pages are fast, that they load on mobile, things like that. That all falls into that SEO bucket. It needs to be organized and technologically sound so that it can be retrieved. So SEO is what gets you found, essentially. AEO stands for Answer Engine Optimization. And that's what's basically where we're going to talk about making your content answer shaped so that it can be selected and reused and served as an answer, maybe in the people also ask snippet or the AI summaries that appear at the top of Google. That answer engine optimization is what gets you sort of chosen because you're formatting it in that natural query and answer format that we've been talking about. And then there's GEO, which is Generative Engine Optimization. You can also, GEO gets used also for like location-based services. So if you are a local business, you'll hear GEO used for that too. Just a different kind of bucket. So what we're talking about here today is Generative Engine Optimization when we're referencing GEO. So GEO is what gets you referenced. That's what makes your brand source worthy or you source worthy so that you actually get referenced in those generated answers. Because ultimately, it's not just that we want our answer to be found. It's that we also want that little pill-shaped source button to link back to our website or our content or our social media. So that GEO, that generative engine optimization, that's really important for getting those source links and ultimately driving traffic back to your primary content. All right, so the operating system. We talked about how there are 3 C's here, and this is the key to visibility across the entire digital ecosystem, essentially. So the first one is crawlability. That is, ensuring that your content can be found and understood by systems. So that is your technical backend. That's making sure you have structured schema in place. It's clear formatting, and we'll talk exactly about, what those H1s mean and why those are important for the machines to be able to read those. So that's crawlability. That's kind of your technical side. Then there's clarity, and that's your answer first formatting, because again, that's what we're kind of trending towards, and that's what these models are prioritizing. So that answer first formatting is your clarity pillar. And then credibility. That's your evidence. So things like social proof, case studies, results, things like that. Plus consistency, right? They want to see continued content that writes back to your overall credibility. Just one blog post and one case study isn't going to do it. You have to be consistent with implementing that kind of content, and that ultimately it helps build your authority in the space. Something that's interesting with credibility too is that we used to, on blog pages or even on websites, we used to put a lot of emphasis on like authorship signals. So, my name is Jenna Nelson. I'm the founder of her AI agency. Maybe I have, some kind of credentials. You used to see that a lot in blog posts or on web pages. And then we moved away from that over, maybe the past decade or so. It's back. Those authorship signals are really important, particularly for the LLMs and even for Google for what they call EEAT. They are looking for those credentials, for those who you are and why they should listen to you or why they should serve up your answers. So just know that that has become really important again. All right, so we're going to go through those 3 C's really quickly. And then again, I'm going to show you how all of this works in practice, which I think is the most important thing to see. So crawlability, if it can't be accessed, it can't be chosen. If your website is not loading properly, if you don't have a clean site structure, if there's no internal linking paths on your website are extremely important. Think of it like a maze. You want your website to be easy for somebody to get to all the places that they need. Your top revenue pages, whatever those might be, should be very easily accessible from your homepage. You don't want those buried in footer navigation. You want those to be very easy to get to, both for humans and for the machines that are processing this information. You want to remove any kind of friction. Slow pages, broken links, pages that don't go anywhere, 404 errors, anything like that. Those really penalize your site particularly from a search browser, Google, Bing, etc. They penalize that. If your website doesn't load fast enough, then people bounce off of it really quick, and that bounce rate comes back to Google, and they basically see, okay, people are going there, but then they leave immediately. That's not a good page for us to serve up. So that technical friction on the back end is very, very important. And then schema, structured schema. This is probably the hardest to implement unless you have a marketing background or a bit of a tech background even. But it can be done, particularly with the tools we have available. There's lots of great, Search Atlas is one that can help you install schema. There are plugins on WordPress. I still prefer to do it by code, by hand. Personally, I think you get better results, but there are kind of some shortcuts there. But generally, I kind of recommend with structured schema, you let a professional implement that for you. But that schema essentially gives like a roadmap to AI, to the machines on how to read the content. They don't see design. You know, AI doesn't see your design. They don't see your branding. They see structure, right? So that roadmap is really, really important. And then clarity, right? So if it isn't clear, it's not going to be reused. You should have basically one page should focus on a primary topic, and you kind of want it to read like a table of contents. If you've got too much going on one page, if the content is hard to follow, if you're kind of jumping around, that's hard both for human consumption, but then also, again, for the machines to read and serve up your answers. So that answer first formatting gets supported, again, in those snippets, in summaries, in your voice assistants. Your headings need to clearly communicate what that section is and what it's going to cover. And then the content needs to be understandable in seconds. And one tip I always have with clarity is read your content and your web pages out loud. If it reads well out loud, then it generally performs really well. If you're reading it out loud and it feels very discombobulated, it doesn't really flow naturally, that is going to make a big difference. So literally take your website and read it out loud. Read it to someone else. Let other people read it out loud. And if it doesn't sound right, make it sound more natural in language. So clarity, it's both a conversion tool. That clarity is what people, it's how they find you in the first place, but then it's also how they convert, right? A confused mind doesn't buy. So if they can clearly understand what your offer is, why you're offering it, what they're going to get out of it, your conversions are going to be a lot better. All right, so the answer block pattern. So there is kind of a really consistent formula here that works, and that's what we're talking about here. So direct answers, 2 to 3 sentences, provide that core answer immediately. You don't need like a 1 paragraph intro to kind of like set the scene anymore. That doesn't really perform well anymore. Get to the point, get them that answer quickly. Your clarifying line, that is context, right? Who is this for? When does it apply? What does it depend on? What do you need? Where should you be in your business to be, going down this path with your business? That clarifying line, people respond really well to, oh yeah, that is exactly me. I have exactly that problem. I'm in exactly that stage. I need this answer. Then expand with your steps and bullets. Break that down into individual little micro steps. That gets surfaced really well in these search parameters that we're talking about. And it's easy for people to understand, right? Like big long paragraphs of all the things you're going to get or all the things you're going to learn. That's hard for people to really stay focused on, particularly because we're doing so much on mobile these days, right? Like you're looking on a small screen, maybe you're standing in line at the grocery store. Make it simple and succinct. And then add your FAQs. FAQs are maybe the most important thing you can do right now on your website. And I'm going to talk a lot more about that in kind of some coming months. But first of all, anticipate and answer questions that people are going to ask you. That shows that you understand your audience and what you're offering them. That's really important. But more importantly, those FAQs, again, that feeds right into that query and answer conversation, right? So with that, those FAQs can be very, very valuable, particularly for getting quoted in those AI answer snippets or in the generative AI platforms. And I saw reading it out loud, something I never thought about. Yeah, absolutely. Read your website out loud, read your blog post out loud. If you can't follow it yourself and if it sounds unnatural, we have really moved towards a more natural sounding language versus marketing speak or tech speak anymore. So definitely kind of peruse for that readability. All right, so then credibility, kind of the last anchor point here. If it isn't credible, it will not be referenced. Google focuses on something called EEAT, and that is, it's evidence. It's not a badge of honor. They want to know who wrote it, why you know what you're talking about, that the information is updated and accurate. You need to refresh content if you've put it out there. I don't care if it's your best performing piece of content, you need to refresh it every once in a while to get those freshness signals out there. And it maintains that consistent identity. Google wants to know that you're still a functioning business, you're still putting content out there, you haven't gone stale, your audience hasn't gone stale. So that's really important as well. So that credibility, honestly, my best advice there is pick your sort of like formatted block for yourself. So maybe it's Jenna Nelson, founder of her AI agency, AI strategist, or whatever, is applicable to you, and reference it that way in every single piece of content. That consistency is the best way to get picked up, particularly in the LLMs. Okay, so now what we're going to do, we're going to kind of stop talking about theory. I'm going to show you how it works practically. So one of the things I offered from this webinar, and that you'll all have access to via the replay, and I'll send it out as well for anyone that registered, but is a plug and play template. So what I've built out is basically a landing page template that you could either literally use this one and plug and play depending on your platform, or you could replicate it, into whatever your CMS or website might be. But it's formatted in a way that is essentially perfect for being served in all of these places that your audience is looking. So I'm going to switch you over, and we're going to look at kind of what that looks like. So this is the template, right? Very kind of placeholders right now, but what I've done is I've put in these placeholders for you exactly what to do, not just fake language, but write the exact question your audience asks in plain language. This needs to be your H1. This is what's really important right here. This is the first thing that gets somebody's attention. So this H1, write the exact question your audience asks, right? And one thing I tell people a lot is, if you can't tell me the 5 questions that your audience asks you the most or has the most questions about, that's the first place you need to start. You need to know what those primary questions are, right? Like me personally, I get asked at least 10 times a day, is SEO dead? I know the answer to that. I can quote it really quickly. I can explain it very quickly. You need to be able to do the same thing in whatever your business is. So this is a kind of a dummy template. So I'm just going to show you exactly what it would look like. I'm going to replace some of these placeholders with things that I have pre-written just for simplicity. So the exact question. So this might be, for instance, change it. Do I need DIY marketing or do I need done for you support? How to choose the right option. Now, obviously, this is not a super well-written headline. I'm just trying to kind of make the point of, this is a question I get asked a lot. Can I do this myself, or do I need you to do it? So let me walk you through, how to choose the right option, right? And then this subheadline, this is that clarity statement that we talked about, right? So in one sentence, say what this page is going to help them decide, do, who it's for. Keep it really simple and specific. So, for me, this might be something like, I help, female founders and women-led businesses implement strategic systems to grow smarter, not harder. That kind of language is really important there. Then your primary CTA language needs to be right up here at the top. I want you to repeat the same CTA throughout your entire page. You could maybe, if you've got like 2 routes to go, you could kind of push them towards, your primary CTA, and maybe there's like a sub CTA. But the more you repeat this call to action across your page, the better, both for being found and also for usability from your reader as well. And then right here, up at the top, above we call this above the fold, so kind of where they land, the first page they see, Add one proof or positioning line that makes you trustworthy. It could be, a lot of times we see like the logo scroll bars as seen in, featured in, chosen by 10,000 businesses. Add something like that. Maybe it's a quote from a client, like ever since working with so-and-so, my conversions have increased tenfold, something like that. Give them a little bit of proof that gets them down to the next section. That's the goal with that. So your very next section should be your answer block, right? This is going to be answering this question up here. And you want to give a quick answer. The headline should be essentially the main point, and then your paragraph. And this should be about 2 to 3 sentences. And the reason being, this block right here is what is most likely to be picked up by those AI snippets, by the LLMs. This answer paragraph, as long as it is succinct, no fluff, keep it very quotable, that is super important. And then I also like to add like a one-line qualifier here. It is great to weed out who your audience is and who your audience isn't, right? And that does several things. That keeps you from, going through a bunch of leads that maybe are not your ideal client or not right for your product. It also helps clarify to someone that is your ideal client or qualified lead that they are, in fact, who you're looking for and who you're speaking to. So that really, it works in your favor. It also works in your potential client or the reader's favor, right? They don't want to waste their time reaching out to you, booking a call if this isn't the right thing for them. So tell them that, right? Like tell them who this is for and who it's not for. And then I also like to do, kind of a visual explainer. Maybe it's a graphic, maybe it's something like this, 25 years of experience, something here that pops really visually. But this section right here is what is going to most likely get picked up in those answer snippets. Then tell them what it depends on. So this is your headline. This is what's most important. You could put a little bit of supporting text here if you want to, but keep it concise. Truly, especially for landing pages, right now, succinct, answer first content wins every time. So put your blocks in here, and maybe this is more about steps, right? Like, so I put in here factor 1, time and capacity. Can you commit to 5 hours a week of doing your marketing, or do you not have that kind of time? Maybe budget or resources. So maybe speed. How quickly do you need results? If you need results tomorrow, maybe you let a professional do this for you. If you've got some time and runway, maybe the DIY route is right for you. And then factor 3, complexity and risk. So what would make this harder or easier for them, right? And that could also play into budget and resources. And these are, again, just ideas. This kind of what it depends on is going to depend on your business and what you're offering. But I think these are great kind of starting points for almost every business when you're talking to potential clients. And then your next block down is tell them what to do next, right? This is where we're resurfacing the primary CTA again. We've got it up here. You could even put it again through here if you wanted. It really kind of can't overpopulate your calls to action as long as it's, still, again, readable. So here, give them what to do next, right? Like, what is the next step? If they've read this and they're like, okay, this sounds like me, I'm the right fit, they've answered my question, what do I do now? Give them quick steps. So, I've written out here, give them, state the goal, right? Do you want to increase your leads 10x in the next 3 months? List the top 3 criteria that matter most. Do you have a proven offer? Do you have an ad budget? Whatever that might be, right? Choose the simplest next step. Explain to them what the very next thing they can do right away is. And then, publish and implement this and then refine it. See what questions people still have and change this based on where people are getting lost in the process. And maybe they're not. If they are taking the action you want them to take, then you've got this perfect. And just make sure your primary CTA, again, matches exactly what you've got up here. Give examples. This is kind of your credibility block that we've been talking about, right? So this can be a case study. This could be social proof, testimonials. This could be links to case studies, stuff like that. So give examples, as many as you can, but again, keep it realistic, and always, always, always give the outcome. That's what people care about. It's not just what you're giving them, it's what they're going to get out of it. So make sure you're including that outcome there. Again, primary CTA, primary CTA. And then we move into our FAQ. So here, I would say at minimum, each page, I like to see 3 to 5 FAQs directly related to the content on that page. And then I like to see a core FAQ page on your whole site that ultimately directs them back. That internal linking is really important there, that directs them back to your service pages or your resources. But right here, get at least the top 3 questions that your audience is going to ask about whatever it is that you're offering here or about this question. And then your credibility block. This is where you put things like brand name helps audience achieve outcome through blank. We focus on blank. If you've got headshots, that's a great place for this. I put in here, give your authorship details, right? So give your name and give your background, your credentials, your years of experience. I mentioned it earlier. I like you to pick basically a block that you reuse everywhere. So figure out your little tiny bio block snippet and use that across everything, your blogs, your website, anywhere that you're going to put your kind of authorship information, put it right there. And then down here, right, we can do a little bit more of, who we help, what we do, proof, just more supporting context. But you'll notice I've got this way down the page because if they've gotten this far, they're getting into the nitty gritty and they're interested in more about you and the business. Up here, right, we're hitting the high points. These are short answers, questions, bullet points, things like that. So it's not until we get all the way down here that I'm starting to add a little bit more fluff, if you will. But still, I keep it very succinct, very easily scannable, particularly because most likely most of your hits are coming from mobile these days, right? And it's hard to read a lot of content on a small mobile device, particularly if they're out in the wild, standing in line at the grocery store, sitting in the school pickup line. You don't want to hit somebody with 2,000 words to read. Then your social proof. This is really important. You've got some of that proof already up here on your page. You've got your positioning up here. You've maybe got your examples. There could be testimonials here. But use these as your real examples. This is a great place for those screenshots, those direct quotes from your clients. This is where you want that. This is what is not necessarily going to be picked up and quoted by a generative engine, but it will be used to prove that you are credible and citable. So that's what this section does. And then down here, right, your big primary CTA next step. Explain the very next step, leave them with a clear plan, click here to book a call, click here to apply. And then a very, kind of simple footer. I have designed this as a landing page. And the purpose of a landing page versus a web page, the landing page should be used for certainly, if you're running ads, if you're running a specific offer, a landing page should have one very specific goal and one thing to do. So honestly, if I were running ads to this, I would take the navigation completely out. If I have somebody coming here from an ad, I don't want them clicking to classes or contact us. I want them clicking my primary CTA button because that's what my conversion is marked off of. And that's how Google or Meta or wherever I'm running ads, that's how it's learning who my buyer is. So depending on how you use this page, I left a nav up here in case you are using it as a home page or a core website page, and you certainly could. But if it's going to be used as a landing page, kill that nav. Don't give them anywhere else to go. Make them take the action on this page that you want them to take. And your footer down here, same thing, right? You could expand this if this was a full website page, but these are the things that are important for searchability, for being quoted in those LLMs. So this is the structure, and it's very intentionally laid out. I have done hundreds of these for clients at this point, and they perform extremely well, both in just general Google search engine results, but then also answer snippets, social media, things like that. These types of pages, when structured this way, this is what's performing really, really well right now. And so if you lay it out exactly like this, you've got the right format, you've got the right structure. And I've left it to where you can just kind of plug and play based on your specific offer, right? So I've given you, tell them what to do next, all of those types of things. So one thing that you'll have access to at the end of the webinar is this template on its own, and a way to implement this exact template if you want that, or an implementation guide that tells you kind of how to walk through it all if you need to rebuild in WordPress or Klaviyo or Kajabi, wherever your landing page might be. I operate my agency off of, we are a white label GHL provider. And so this is built on the GHL infrastructure, but you can take this structure and replicate it into any other platform that you might be using. But if you don't have a good landing page platform yet, if you don't have a good automations platform yet, definitely sync up with me. I'd love to show you GHL. It truly is the most powerful CRM all-in-one marketing platform out there, and you can do literally everything that your business needs in that one place, which makes it extremely not only economical, you reduce your tech stack, but it also eliminates a lot of risk of different parts and pieces not talking to each other. It keeps your tracking really clean if you're running ads, things like that. So you will get this implementation guide. You will get a copy of this template. And if you don't already have it, which is how a lot of you got here to this webinar in the first place, but if you don't already have the 2026 visibility checklist, that will be on that page as well. So I'm going to drop that in the chat right now before I forget, so that everyone has it. All right, so that link is right here. So this is the replay link. This takes you directly to, there we go. This will take you directly to both the replay, the template, the checklist, everything that you need is in that page. And if you have any problems, of course, reach out to me directly. I'm happy to help. If you have questions, I'm happy to help with that. But that is how I would build any new pages for my business or for my clients' businesses going forward. All right, so I'm going to hop off this live build now and go over to our slide deck. Try to. All right, so let's go back here. All right, so we've just gone through this live page build. Again, I've dropped that in the comments, but also if you need it, just reach out, or you should be able to find it on the website pretty easily too. And then obviously all of this I've set up, to give you kind of a baseline. Here's how I would do it. Here's a checklist. Here's the template, but it is a lot of work, right? And we are talking about one page, and realistically one page, while it's a great starting point, you need multiple pages all working together to really create a visibility system. So what I am launching right now, the end of this month, is our Visibility Accelerator. And it's 90 days, and we are completely installing that entire visibility structure for you. So that starts with a brand alignment session where we make sure, I talked about earlier, if you don't know those 5 questions that your audience asks, we need to know those. So it starts there, right? We make sure that your content is going to be answering the questions that your audience needs you to answer. So we do that alignment session. That is like 60 to 90 minutes where I ask you a million questions, probably some that you've never been asked before. And it's a great initial step into clarifying your message and your audience and how to position yourself. Then we're going to do an FAQ hub page, like we just talked about. So that's going to be a core page on your website, 15 to 20 FAQs. That is maybe one of the highest performing pages you can have out there right now, truly. And then we're going to do 3 core pages that look just like this one we just talked about, obviously designed to your brand, much more robust than the template. But that is going to be optimized for SEO, AEO, GEO. And what that's going to do, those core pages are going to really do the heavy lifting for the rest of your site. And those 3 core pages will look, very similar to what we just looked at. They will also have many FAQs. It will have your social proof. We'll go through all that writing and content with you. And then an authority track. So this splits depending on if you're a local business or if you're a digital business. If you are a local business, I take you down the Google Business Profile path. That is one of the biggest keys to your success. If you're a local business, if you've got an address where customers come, optimizing that Google Business Profile is absolutely key. Map searches, like 70% of people will only click one of the top 3 that come up in the map and not go anywhere else. So that is where you're getting those map clicks from, and it's extremely important. If you're going digital, then we look at more of a content authority track. So that's the authorship, that really important cornerstone content that kind of sets you apart as a thought leader. And then from there, we build out a 90-day visibility and content plan. So this is best for businesses that have real offers. We can refine it, we can work on that, but a good offer, and you want predictable discovery moving forward, and you want something that's going to sustain you past 90 days. This is not just let's work on it for 90 days and then back off. This is setting your visibility system that you will continue to build on as time goes on. So I am only taking 3 of those per quarter, starting with this month. And I am, it's $2,997 is the normal price. But from now until the end of this month, end of January, I'm offering it for $2,500. So you get $500 off for attending the webinar and being one of the first to get in this program, because I am limiting it so that I can really focus on the implementation for each client. So that is kind of the offer. If you don't want to figure this out yourself, if you do, then start with that visibility checklist that I've given you. Start with that visibility template, rebuild it on your platform. I can give you access to ours, and you could have that exact template to literally just plug and play, just depending on how you want to build it. And then remember those 3 C's. If it can't be accessed, if it can't be chosen, if it isn't clear, none of that is going to make it surfaced in those AI answers or even surfaced on Google. The credibility, the crawlability, and the clarity are extremely important in kind of our new world order. So that is it on kind of content. I am more than happy to take questions in the chat if anybody has any. But otherwise, I am easy to reach. The website is heragency.com. And also subscribe to my YouTube channel. I do a lot of these kind of short, even shorter, trainings, kind of things you can implement fast. I do a robust once a month longer training like this, but I also do kind of shorter, more impactful things that you can implement really, really quick. So subscribe to the YouTube channel, check out the Visibility Accelerator. If that's something you're interested in, I will drop that specific link to apply for the Visibility Accelerator in the chat as well. And if you have any questions, please reach out. But otherwise, I hope that everybody learned something from this, and I hope that you can kind of apply this to your marketing plan for this year. Because if you keep doing the same thing you've always been doing, you're going to see kind of a drop off in traffic. We're just naturally seeing lower click-through rates, lower website clicks because of these answer snippets, because people are using voice assistants. They're not getting all the way. They're getting their answer and they're moving on, or they're going right to the source. They're not scrolling all the way down Google anymore. So I want you to be able to take advantage of that now. So hope everyone has a great day, and we'll chat soon.